welcome back to another video. We are going to be rebuilding this new engine project that I decided to pick up because I'm like a squirrel. I see a project, I get excited. Oh, we're going to go do this now instead of finishing one project. I've had too much coffee. We're already going. I personally had so much fun rebuilding my LS1 and my Corvette. Why not do another engine? So this is technically an L99, which came out of an automatic Camaro in about 2010, 2012. So it's like an LS3, but has a couple of differences. For example, you see these pistons are machined with additional oil passages that allow directed oil spray onto the pistons. This reduces heat and friction from GM's active fuel management system, Oil on Demand. It uses special lifters and oil control solenoids to cut pressure to select lifters, which collapses them and deactivates 4 cylinders during light load cruising. This can cause early lifter failure. So that's how you can tell it had oil on demand, and this one has a delete on it. It is a Gen 4, and nothing is technically wrong with it. We're gonna be doing a budget overhaul. So new pistons, bearings, cam bearings, something very similar that I did to my LS1 in my Corvette. This is gonna be so fun. I really liked doing the engine. It's not super big, not super heavy, and it's not gonna take up as much space as right now. I'm in the middle of getting kind of like my shop together before I get a new project. So this is gonna be super fun. So the heads on this are different from my LS1. This has these square port cylinder heads instead of the cathedral port heads. You know, bigger heads, more air, all that. So where did this engine come from? The best place for deals and getting scammed? Facebook Marketplace. This engine was bought from an individual where Google Translate was required to make the deal happen, and it was sold from the understanding that it had bad lifters. With GM's active fuel management, these special lifters are known to have issues. These lifters have the ability to be collapsed and for the engine to go from running on 8 cylinders to 4 cylinders, and that is to save on fuel consumption. But because these lifters are complex and rely on a precise amount of oil pressure, it makes these lifters much more susceptible to failure. Now, this is the reason why the cylinder heads are off. Because the lifters were taken out, none of them were bad. So as of right now, the engine looks good. Like no major damage, no blown rod bearings, no bad lifters. I'm gonna keep my eyes out for any damage and make sure that the block, rods, and all of that are good, because that might change the overhaul process if there is any damage done to the block, similar to my LS1 where I had to go get it machined because there was damage to the block and the crank. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. Having just installed my brand new Swiss Trax garage flooring, this is my very first project on it. I'm taking the extra time and attention to keep it clean. Like I said, there are only a couple of bolts holding this because this was already previously removed. I wonder if moving it upside down was a bad choice. All right. Look at that, no mess is even happening here. This was all previously taken apart already. You can see some of these bolts were loose to check the bearings, so I'm gonna go ahead and take everything out. And be very specific about which ones go where. You can see they are already pre-labeled, which will make this process a lot easier for me. So the main caps, I have to make sure they go a certain direction and they are already labeled. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5, because the main caps have to go in the same direction and the same order. So we're gonna go ahead and take it all out, lay it out on our table, so that way it stays perfect. Well, dude, look how gross that is. That oil pump is disgusting. There is something about rebuilding and learning that fuels my passion for cars. It is so fulfilling to me to take something that does not work and then to rebuild it and have it perform then even better than before. And learning the ins and outs of an engine and how each one is unique and special is so intriguing to me. I'm really taking my time taking this L99 apart, paying attention to every detail. Okay, first one's out. Look at that, glorious. All right, this is number 1. This is on the first rod. But do the rest of the bearings look good? Let's find out. Get in here, so I just took off the cap here, and now I have to get the piston out. It's a delicate process to knock out the pistons. I don't want to damage the cylinder walls any more than whatever damage may already be there. Luckily, my hands are small enough to fit inside the block. Be careful. Second one's out. Oh my God, my GoPro is covered in oil now. Fabulous. And now we're gonna have to turn the crank. So because some of these other caps are faced the other way. So I'm gonna turn it so I can get 3. Well, I guess I can get 4 out, but I'm gonna have to turn it to get 3. Because not all of the pistons and rods are exposed the same way, I'll need to manually rotate the crank to expose the ends of the connecting rods. Usually this is done by using the harmonic balancer bolt and a ratchet, but first I need to remove the rest of the rods before cranking over the engine manually, and hopefully keeping everything organized. Whoops. Well, I tried. Back to being as delicate as I can be with these engine internals, and I'm really starting to see some progress. There we go. Whoa. Number 7. As I'm finishing up removing each of the rods and pistons, I'm noticing every detail. Learning about the internals gives me a much better understanding of how engines work. Number 7. Woo! This is fine. This is fine.
I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
Things roll fine on my new Swiss Trax floor. Yes. All right, nobody judge me on how I'm gonna crank this, because I don't have a crank bolt. So, we have 3 and 8 we still need to get. Like I said earlier, normally rotating the engine manually is done with a harmonic balancer bolt and a ratchet. But a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. That was rod and piston number 8, and now I'm removing the final rod and piston, number 3. Woo. There we are, last piston rod thing. Okay. Now, at first I thought this was some type of weird sealant, but this gunk buildup is all oil that had gotten into the threads and just deteriorated. Like, all of the bolts have this weird goop on them, which made them really difficult to get loose and out. This is why we're doing an overhaul, to fix stuff like this. Now we're gonna take the main caps off. We have these outside bolts, which are 15s, and then I'm pretty sure these all also have that same weird gunk on them. Oh, it just reeks. It smells so bad. So like I said, for the main caps, we're gonna take them all out, but then they have to be, or at least I wanna order them. Luckily they are numbered, but I have to remember number 1 is the front, number 5 is the back, and then which direction that they go. Luckily these kind of all have a small number and notch on them, so it should be really easy to remember which way they go, but when I place them on the table, I'm gonna try to make sure that they're in the right order. These bolts I'm removing are baked in oil, which happens when oil seeps past the bolt threads and bakes onto the surface. There is oil seeping out of these bolt holes. The smell is from old oil breaking down over time. Probably old thread sealant too. Look at how bad this bolt is. It's just corroded. Look how nasty. She is so nasty. That is absolutely gross. Like, my LS one did not have that much buildup, and the whole, like, nasty, 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 nasty. That's gross. That is so gross. It looks like the oil is only really bad on the first main cap and the last one. So to remove the main caps, I'm gonna be very delicate, but I'm gonna use a mixture of this crowbar or pry bar to help kind of get and pry them out. And then I'm also gonna use an adjustable wrench to try to grab and wiggle it and try to take these out as delicately as possible. But before I do that, I need to remove the side bolts that help hold the main caps in place. And the oil reeks. I'm gonna try, there we go. Number 2. Oh, these are coming out way easier than my ones did. We're gonna 2, 3, we're gonna put them right down here. 4. Oh, nope, that was easy. These are way easier to take out than my car were. This guy's heavy. There we go. All right, crank is out, woohoo! Awesome, so we officially have everything out of the block. We still have the bearings we'll need to remove, but overall, the block, the cylinder walls, the bearings, looks pretty good. It doesn't look overly destroyed like my block did, which is good. That means no metal floating around, no major destruction, just a traditional overhaul, new gaskets, bearing, etc. And you can even look, the bearings here look really good. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some work done to this block before I got my hands on it. Like here, these are all the components. So the crank looks good. No real scoring or real grounding out. You can just see like normal wear and tear. Even this rear seal gasket looks pretty new. Even the bolts holding on that rear main cover, these were pretty new. And then the bearings and the rods, they all looked really good, really clean. So it looks like there was some work done to this, but not as much as we're about to do. So where we're at now is that everything's gonna be cleaned up. Since there's no major damage, we don't have to machine down the block or the cylinder walls or anything like that. We are gonna do dingle ball honing, I think it's called. And it's basically like a more DIY of how to clean and get the cylinder walls to be refreshed. And then we're gonna send out the crank, the heads, all of that to be cleaned up. We are gonna be replacing the springs, I'm pretty sure, in the cylinder heads. But we're gonna leave that for right now until we have new springs to put in, because then the valves are just gonna be hanging out and about. Overall, looks great. And now we're just gonna get everything cleaned up. And then once we get it back, we're gonna put this engine back together.